All right, I'm going to highlight a couple of our core values. Well, not that they're just particularly relevant today, they're my two favorite ones, and I think they're always relevant. So that is reality is known through reason, and meaning comes from making a difference. And those are the ones I always use because I like them. All right, we're going to have our usual routine today. We're going to start with a couple of songs, and we'll go to our main speaker. We'll break out into our chat groups, and we'll have a little Q&A session, and we'll wrap things up with a final song, and that's the usual routine. So let's get started. Our guest musician today is Sara van Buskirk. Sara's a folk singer, songwriter, and guitarist, very involved in the Houston entertainment industry. Also found out talking with her before we started that she's into woodworking, which I used to be a long time ago, but I gave it up because it was just more challenging than I could handle. But she's somehow managed to hang in there, both with being a musician and a woodworker. So I'm impressed. But in any case, let's get a couple of songs. So help me give a warm welcome to Sara.
Thank you, Eric. Pulling up next to me, can I get just a little bit more? Giving out dangerously, did you just leave my body on the floor? And you say me, I say please. Back and forth, tongues collide. Can I give you just a little bit more? Is this love incomplete? Have we even given a thought what we're in it for? And you say meet me, please. You and I in the rain, counting heaven on hands, giving up on what we thought was right. You and I in the rain, wish the sun would shine again, and you would light me up tonight. I gave up years ago, and I saw the ugly in myself. I made me pay unconsciously by putting all my feelings on the shelf. And you say meet me, please. You and I making plans, sharing hearts and holding hands, giving up on what we thought was right. You and I in the rain, wish the sun would shine again, and you would light me up tonight. You and I making plans, sharing hearts and holding hands, giving up on what we thought was right. You and I in the rain, wish the sun would shine again, and you would light me up tonight. Ooh, Ooh, Thank y'all so much. I'm trying to keep it a little more chill. I'm much more of a projector, so this is a fun vocal control challenge for me today. I'm alone today and I can't seem to find the place where I've gone from. My hands have fought many wars and I feel like I've lost them all, 'cause the freedom doesn't feel free enough. And so I'll think of better days with open trust, and I'll be brave till living doesn't feel like losing life. And I hope I'm well in 20 years. I hope I'm somewhat better than this. I wanna be halfway around the world with my baby. I'm scared today and I feel like I'm losing faith in everything that I believed in. My hands have held many hearts and I feel like I've lost them all, 'cause the love they give never feels like enough. So I think of better days with open trust, and I'll be brave till living doesn't feel like giving up. And I pray I'm well in 20 years. I pray I'm so much better than this. Wanna be halfway around the world with my baby. Think of better days with open trust, and I'll be brave till living doesn't feel like giving up. All right. Thank y'all so much.
All right, thank you, Sarah. That was beautiful. That's well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to our main talk now. Today we're going to have a well-known member of Oasis. Chuck Redding is back for us. He's famous for doing those talks about the natural body functions of hawks and falcons, which he demonstrated for us when we were back in the dance studio there one time. But today we're going to go in a little different direction. And I should just point out, Chuck is a retired mechanical engineer, spent most of his time in the oil and gas industry. We all know him well for his interest in falconry, and he's done a number of presentations on the subject. He's going to take a different, track today, but we can count on, as usual, Chuck he just inspires us with his knowledge and his passion about things. So let's give him another chance here and enjoy that again. So everybody, let's give a warm welcome to our own Chuck Redding.
Thanks, Gary. Sounds like I overpaid you. So,
Yes.
let me get this thing rolling. In case you get confused as we move through this thing, this is not a falconry presentation. So Let's see if this is working. Okay, good. And then my disclaimer, always important. So let's see. Basically, I'm going to make a pitch. This presentation is really just a reprise of one I did about 2 years ago. And I'm just making a pitch that when you leave your house every day, just pick up a piece of plastic and throw it away. And I'll try to convince you why that's a good idea in the next few minutes. This is going to be just like that other presentation. I'm just going to talk much more slowly and turn it into 30 minutes. So you'll have time to get coffee sometime between words. So, but anyway, don't mess with Texas. I just sort of slapped that title on here. In the mid 80s, they had a campaign that I thought was kind of bogus at the time, but it reduced the amount of trash on the highways by 70% in the state, which is pretty impressive. So this is Arizona. This is not Texas, but this is a great picture of what we've all seen a million times. And but there's a nastier side to it than just the aesthetics. And this is almost 40 years ago. I was snorkeling in the Bahamas at this particular little island. You couldn't see Florida. You couldn't see the Bahamian, the other islands. It was just pristine. And I was just snorkeling around a bunch of coral reefs and having a great time. And I dove to the base of one of these coral reefs. And at the bottom was this big, huge circle of plastic, a big ring, slowly going around a big circle. And it gave me quite a jolt, and it was a little bit depressing. And what's the issue with that? Well, 8 million metric tons per year we throw into the oceans, as humanity does. And a metric ton, incidentally, is 2.2, it's 1,000 kilograms. And it's 2.2 thousand pounds. And just to give you an idea how much that is, it's the equivalent of a garbage truck full every minute is getting dumped into the world's oceans. And 250,000 are these little itty bitty pieces. I read an article, I don't know, last year sometime. If you're eating fish, you're eating little bits of plastic. So the problem with plastic, other than the fact that it lasts forever and doesn't degrade much, is that the specific gravity is below 1, so it floats. But even if that weren't the case, you know, if the bottle were made with metal, it would still float. I mean, metal ships float. But water bottles are particularly bad. They're capped. They float away. This beautiful picture is it's off the coast of Honduras. It's the island Roatan. You might be familiar with it. But as far as the eye could see, you're looking at plastic debris, and that all came from us in one form or another. You don't have to look too closely at this. This is a map of Harris County. And the blue, the green, and the yellow, this is the general directions of the water flows. The northern part of the county all goes into the San Jacinto River, which dumps directly into Galveston Bay. The green is where most of us live. And the water there, the groundwater there heads, it's not groundwater really, is it? It's surface water. Goes into Buffalo Bayou, into the ship channel, and then out in Galveston Bay and into the Gulf. So it joins the ocean there. And then the yellow is, that all goes directly, that's south of us toward Galveston and so on, and east. But that water flows straight into Galveston Bay. So anything that's floating, this is the direction it goes, and it ends up in Galveston Bay, excuse me. And of course, Galveston Bay is connected to the Gulf. I'll repeat myself probably a few times. And here's how it starts. This is right down the street from my house. There's a little inlet, and that inlet is connected to a ditch that's about a half mile from my house. So the next rain that would come along would pick up this cup, throw it into that inlet, and then at some point in the next, who knows how long, it'll end up in that ditch and on its way to the ocean. I go out and walk my dog the same path every morning. And in 20 minutes, I can do this every single day that I go out. This is just plastic debris. And it's not like I'm going to a new spot. I'm taking basically the same path every single day. And this is what I pick up. Stuff like this. There's another one. Now, this particular time, I picked up an extra bag. So not only did I get debris, but I got a bag to put it in. This is all just as I'm walking the dog, and it's very close. Here's a bottle that got run over by a tractor while they were cutting the lawn. It's waiting for the next rain to get washed into the street. There's another one. And here's that ditch I was talking about. In the upper left of this picture is about where Buffalo Bayou is. And this ditch connects directly to the bayou. So that bottle right there, he's not only on deck, he's at the plate. So I went down here and fished this thing out. And I could do that every day if I wanted to. But this guy, of course, was heading to an ocean at some point. So there's another view of the same ditch. During Harvey, this ditch nearly filled up and flooded our neighborhood. It was a meeting place for the neighborhood because we're all watching the water level here. But straight out where the trees are at the lowest point in the picture, I can't really point to it exactly, but that's where Buffalo Bayou is. So, oh yeah, and then this year, now because we have the pandemic, now every day that I go out, I could pick up one of these guys, and these guys float pretty well too. And apparently, I've read that these are a new problem, that the oceans are getting their fair share of these things. Can everyone hear me okay? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, all I'm looking at is my screen, so I'm getting no real feedback, which is fine. At least we got it working. This is my dog. The only reason he's included is he demanded to be in this presentation today. So I pretty much do what he tells me. This is the trunk of my car. I was all inspired by this stuff for a while. So I was driving around. Anytime I saw any plastic, I'd throw it into a bag in my car. And I'm not too concerned with recycling. If you can recycle effectively, great. But to me, if it's a cake and the icing is the recycling. The cake is get this stuff off the ground and keep it out of the ocean. It's going to end up in a landfill. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not in love with landfills, but it's a hell of a lot better in the ocean. I went to visit some friends of mine out in Fayetteville a couple of years ago, and they live out in this beautiful spot near State Highway 71 and Brushy Road. Brushy, by the way, is not an adjective. That's the name of the road. And I left, and on the way out, I find this mountain of bottles just somebody threw out of their truck. Now, the good news about these bottles is that they would not have gone into Buffalo Bayou. Instead, they would have washed into the Colorado River and into Matagorda Bay. So really no improvement. So this right here is the worst piece of plastic debris that I ever saw. Behind this boat, to the left, that's a hunting field. I used to hunt swamp rabbits with my red-tailed hawk there. And then to the right, off the stern, is White Oak Bayou. And this boat was used in some sort of criminal activity for a while, I think, and it was smashed up and everything, so they just left it there. And why am I calling it plastic? Because the industry term for a fiberglass boat is glass reinforced plastic. So that's pretty awful. Another time at this same spot, I found a dead deer and a dead horse. Now here's a great picture. Why is this relevant? My neighbor, the predecessor to this particular water box, my neighbor ran over it with his lawnmower and chewed it up. I was about to get another one from the city. I thought, nah, when I hunt, I find stuff like this. And sure enough, I was out hunting and it was right here. This is not the same day, but out in the middle of the woods, leaning against the tree was it was another water cover. So I just took that one. And this is this is a long way from where you might think water would be, but every place I hunt, there's plastic debris that's washed in there. Here's another, here I am, my hawk is in the middle there, he's got a rabbit, but in the foreground, you see a couple of pieces of plastic debris that all got washed there. This is over near Bear Creek Park. So this would have washed into maybe Bear Creek and then into Buffalo Bayou and so along. I mean, it's a huge network and it all connects with the ocean. So here's my conclusion. This is really ugly. I'm not a big fan of landfills, even though I worked for a landfill liner company. I even started my own little equipment company, and I sold equipment to the landfill liner industry. But the landfills are ugly. They smell. The stuff that's there is going to be there for 1,000 years. But take a look at this. As awful as this is, how does it compare with this? And this is not a staged picture. This is reality all over the world. And as I said before, if you want to recycle, wonderful, extra points. But just pick up the stuff and get it out of the water flow. To me, that's the key. And I'm going to read this one. Normally, when you give a presentation, you shouldn't read your slides. I'm going to read this one. But in Harris County, any plastic item that you walk by, don't pick up, don't throw up, out, excuse me. You can throw up when you see it, but it'll end up in the Gulf of Mexico. Keep that in mind. And normally we have a bigger crowd, but anyway, I say here, this is my pitch. I said 50, we'll say 20 people are watching this now. If each one of us picks up just one piece of plastic every day and get it off the street into a container. I mentioned the recycling. Yes, absolutely recycle. If we were watching this, okay, if there were 50 of us, that's 18,000 pieces of debris every year. With the 20 of us here, comes to about 7,000 pieces of debris. If each of us leaves today, it says, I'm just going to pick up one piece. It's actually pretty easy to do. So that is my pitch. And that's all I have for today. I could bring out a hawk or something if somebody wants to look at a hawk.
You don't need a hawk. That tugs at everybody's heartstrings there. I mean, I know Oasis people in general, this is awful. And I appreciate your bringing this to our attention. It's very important, Chuck. Thank you very much.
Right. I encounter it all the time because I especially in the woods around here, it's just amazing, the debris. And then if we have a big, huge rain, if you go, any place there's an obstruction in the creek, of any of the creeks around here, I'm sure you all have seen this. There's a huge, it's like a huge net, and all that stuff is full of styrofoam and bottles and everything. So
you can't even describe how much, how bad it is out there. Whenever I go to any of the hikes in the parks here or any of the creeks, it's just filled with debris everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, I've seen it's actually gotten worse, I would say. For the first time in the last year, I think I've seen people, open their windows and throw out cans and stuff just out their car window. Over the past year, it's actually gotten worse in some ways. I didn't used to see that before.
I saw someone, he was stopped at a red light. I was walking on the sidewalk and he just opened up, he'd gotten some fast food and he took it out of the wrapper and he just threw it out of his window like it was just a natural thing to do.
Yeah.
No anything. He just had the sandwich in his hand and the rest went out the window onto the road.
Yeah, I'm like, that used to be like so unacceptable in the US, but at least.
I forget what the year is. I think it used to be 2050, but I think it's moved up where they said that the weight of the plastic in the oceans will be greater than of the, you know, the life forms in the ocean. And that just
Yeesh.
astounds me.
Yeah, I mean, we're producing at an extraordinary rate, and that's not going to stop anytime soon.
And Chuck's point about recycling, I watched some documentary not too long ago, and they kind of pointed out that the manufacturers of plastic have a tendency to say, you know, you need to recycle and do all these
Yeah.
things. And it turns out it's what they're doing is they're pushing off the responsibility to the consumers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're doing basically, saying it's recyclable, or even the Coke, do you see the ads on about the Coke, Dr. Pepper and Pepsi making this ad about saying that return the bottle to us and we'll recycle or something? How many people are going to do that?
Right.
No one's going to ship it back to them or something.
So it's,
They have they have no counters anywhere. They have nothing invested. They're just saying, send it back to the company, we'll take care of it. Like, we're not going to do that.
you know,
And I
Okay.
guess the landfill is better in some ways. If the landfill is sealed, at least it's better than throwing it on the street. At least,
I guess
I mean, I'm sure it leaks a little bit for sure, but
it's sort of like it's like cemeteries. I mean, you can only
Mhm.
bury so many people. After a while, you just use up all the land.
Yeah.
Landfills, I think, are in much the same category. Just
yeah, I mean,
alternatives.
the best way is to stop producing so much, but because we don't seem to get to do that.
We're going to try to do this a little differently. So, usually we see the questions in the chat box or something, and we read them out to people. But I think because of the nature of the subject, I would like to just have it be a general, open discussion that everybody can participate in. So if you would like to say something, just unmute yourself, and then make your comment or ask a question, and then we'll just see how that goes. So for about 10 minutes, we'll have a group discussion here. So I see Richard raising his hand.
So who was it? I guess Bob Fisher, wasn't it, that organized, because the recycling topic came up, and Bob Fisher, wasn't it he the one that organized one or more visits to the super duper Houston Recycling Center, the new one? And because I guess we've learned more over the last couple years about how bogus much of the recycling is, that it was largely an invention of the plastics industry, where they made it sound like most plastics were recyclable, and yet it was never their intention. And this is from industry insiders. It was never their intention to have a lot of plastic get recycled, because their whole business model is selling virgin plastic, So if your recycling gets too good, that takes away their market. And so it was all just, it was all exaggerated and stuff. And of course, there are some plastics that are recyclable. And those of us that like to recycle feel like idiots at this point. But has anybody, did some of you visit the Super Duper Recycling Center, the new one? And can you give us a little report, those of us that were not able to go to that?
I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be to talk about that, but let me just kind of give you some of the highlights I remember. I mean, you basically have this giant warehouse room that has, the recycling trucks come in and they just dump everything inside right there in the building. And then they have the little loader machines that pour it into a bin that takes it up. And it goes through these different phases. Like they'll have magnets that will pick up things that are magnetic and get those out of the way. Then different size sieves, so things will fall through and stuff like that. But what I remember more than anything else is we actually went down into the floor where those things were, and the crap. I don't want to use the word junk because that's what we're supposed to be doing, is bringing junk there. But the stuff that people try to recycle, I mean, coils of wire, pieces of machinery, just all kinds of stuff that really gunk up the works. And it really is a problem for them, because when this material is put into this thing that sends it through where it's being sorted and broken out and stuff like that, it has gears that constantly get jammed up, and they have to stop the whole process, and somebody's got to go down inside the machine and pull these things out. So recycling, like you say, it's not just well, we got it done, we're in there. It doesn't work nearly as well as I think a lot of people would like us to believe, but that was the basic process. You go through these filtering processes, then it gets broken out. The plastic goes one way, and papers and metal other ways. And what they do is they bale these up into these giant bales of material, whether it's paper or plastic or whatever. And then those are sold to companies who can actually recycle them. Actually, so the recycling plant that you're talking about here doesn't really recycle anything itself. It just prepares things. It breaks them out into different materials, bales them up, and then they are sold to companies that actually can use that material to be recycled into something else. So it's very impressive, but you saw a lot of the problems that we have, because people just throw crap in there because they just want to get rid of it. But they do their best, and it's probably just a drop in the ocean. But which we're trying.
Speak and repeat myself. What I already told the breakout group is the city is starting to get serious. There's been a lot of discussion in the newspaper about how polluted the plastic and everything is, and why you should recycle right. And so they just sent out postcards. I got one. I don't know who else got one, but it says no hoses, cords, or wires, no batteries or electronics, no household items, no shredded paper. That's an important one, because I had never heard that before, and I've been putting shredded paper in. No yard waste, no scrap metal or wood. I actually found the weed eater in one of my neighbor's green bins, so I took it out and took it to West Park. But they definitely do not want plastic bags. You can take your plastic bags back to most of the supermarkets, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I have heard recently that the city's going to start composting, or a compost service, or
It's always been composting. You're supposed to put yard waste by the street in a compostable bag that you buy at Lowe's or somewhere, and there's very definite instructions for putting branches and stuff out, and they've been composting for a long time.
Has anybody been to the Great Composting Center in the sky? I'd like to see that. I know that they pick up the branches, and I know that there's, yeah.
Ted, I'd be curious what you have to say, because you are a composting expert there. You think that's a viable process for the city?
Did you say, what did you say, Gary?
I was just curious, you gave a presentation on composting and stuff like that, and do you think that the city's efforts are viable to do composting on that large a scale?
Well, I do it on a small scale here, but basically everything is composted here, and it's very successful, and it really enriches the garden amazingly. It's a lot of fun, and have never seen any rodents or anything over there at all. But as far as how that correlates to a massive industrial size composting, I don't really know, except that it's a natural process, and if you just pile compostable materials up, it'll eventually turn into compost, but so I would be all for it. Yeah, it makes perfect sense to segregate your compostable garden waste, and instead of putting it into the landfill where it doesn't need to be taking up space, you could be composting it. So, but I don't know how complicated that would be, or how much it would cost or whatever. But I know a lot of metropolitan areas do that, so I assume that it is a doable thing, you know. And I guess what Susan or someone was saying that they're doing it now, so or paid.
Richard, you had your hand up there.
So Susan, San Francisco, at least a few years ago, San Francisco had what was considered the most complete or the most impressive composting program, and where even restaurant food waste would go there, and unless it could be used in some other way. But so they did extremely well and are still doing extremely well with that. So so I know that it can be done at a municipal level, and so.
Anybody know what they do with the compost? Do they sell it? Do they use it?
Well, there's some cities around here, like San Antonio has a famous brand of I guess it's mulch, maybe it's compost, I think it is, and they actually take it from sewage sludge or something like that, you know. And I think there's been some people wondering, you know, if it's got too many heavy metals and whatever, etc. But I do know that some of those cities are selling their products, so that's one thing.
I think Houston uses theirs in the parks, you know.
That would be good.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy the San Antonio sludge for my garden. I wouldn't put that in there. Personally.
Well, I just changed my virtual background to my backyard.
Oh, you
Because
did?
I have no grass in my backyard, and it's just fallen leaves. So it's just natural compost on the ground, ground cover and fallen leaves.
Great. Wow.
Okay. Any final
My
comments?
yard man charges me $16 to mow and edge my yard because I have
Wow, that's great.
All kinds of benefits there. All right, one more minute. Anybody else want to ask a question or make a comment?
I'm going to comment what I said to my breakout group, that Chuck, I would like to see the ditches around Houston that are everywhere. I'd like to see the city or the county put names on them, so people are more aware that these things are runoff ditches and going to the Gulf, to the bay.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is, Susan.
Excellent.
I guess I got to start making it happen then, huh?
There you go. We're all depending on you.
Well, there was actually one question I wanted to pass on to Chuck here. It was from Mike Nelson saying, who took the picture of you and the dog and the hawk?
A young woman who I had taken out to, she's now a falconer, but I took her out on her first falconry expedition. I believe it happened to be that day. So she took a bunch of pictures, and that was one of them.
Okay. We're wondering if it was a different one of your hawks had taken the picture for you or something like that.
That's what
The other one of them is sort of an amateur photographer, not very good, but at least she tries. So.
Okay, I'm gonna do a real quick request again for everybody. We still have bills to pay and things like that. We soon will be starting back up at Baker Ripley. I hope we're making plans for that. So we'll be paying rent again then. So as usual, if you are able to and would like to, then please make a donation to Houston Oasis, and we will appreciate it very much. So, all right. So with that, let's get back to one final song from Sara, if she's still around here somewhere. I see her picture. There she is. And we'll say, take it away, Sara.
I'm town called Texas wide. Oh, the Lone Star Charm, where the day old Catalina gets me through the ride downtown. And the dark man asks me where I stay, and I don't feel no harm. And I carry his soul right up to God and forget my own. When my tongue is silent, I weep like a child. And when my words are clumsy, just hold me for a while. And if my heart is hollow, it'd be hard for me to hide. Just wish that I could swallow my goddamn pride. The ember burns my lips and tongue, and then I speak my mind. Ain't it lovely how the rain washes my bones? Stain. But the age-old problem still remains if I fight alone. And it's funny how giving it all away brings it all right back home. And if my hands are freezing, they're warm in time. And if my mind is wandering, have faith, my child. And if I'm hard to follow, well, I'm laying it on the line. Just wish that I could swallow my goddamn pride. Still wish that I could swallow my goddamn pride.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
All right. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us today. A special thank you to Sarah and Chuck for their contributions here. And let me just say, keep up with our emails and our Facebook posts so you can see what's coming up with Oasis. And join us tonight again. I think we're doing another coronavirus get together there. No, we're not doing it anymore. Oh, well.
No, that's last Sunday was the last one, and sorry you guys didn't know about that. So some people, the people at Coronavirus Conversation, at least the ones who went last time, knew about it. But yeah, you guys are everybody's good to go, and
Lost sheep.
Yeah. No, we'll see you for the next pandemic, Richard. So
yeah.
so, anyway,
Will and I are going to take the Coronavirus Conversation to Havana.
Oh. That sounds like fun, just going to Havana. So anyway, keep up with all our postings so that you can find out what's going on in the future. And thanks for coming again, and have a good week. We'll see you next time.